Hello. I'm doing another hi. Hi. This is another video by me. But this time I'm gonna try talking. Oh my god, this is so annoying. Trying to talk in the camera all the time. I feel like at some point I'm gonna be talking in the video and my eyes are gonna be crisscrossed. And that's not how my eyes usually are. They're a little bit crisscrossed, but not that much. Okay. Hello. Uh, I got a lot of appreciation from my family members, and I want to talk about the moon this time. Literally, the moon. It's such a. I know it's just such a weird topic to talk about, but it's just so close to my heart, and I feel like if it's gonna be a podcast where I'm the one who's predominantly talking and I'm sharing my thoughts and views, but how can I not talk about the things I love? And one of those things is literally the moon, our satellite. Don't correct me scientifically if I said something wrong in this podcast. It's just straight from my heart. So we call it Chand in Urdu. My love for Chand literally started uh when I was a child, of course. I remember some like things from the past that I remember are I remember just sleeping with my grandparents in our backyard. This is very young, by the way. Like I must be 1 year old or two, and I don't know if you're supposed to remember things from them, but I do have this very clear memory of being in our backyard. It's like a summer night, and like I'm looking at the stars, and my abu is like trying to tell me something, but I don't remember what he was saying. But I really, really was admired and taken back by the moon. And similarly, I think the core memory, and I would say the place where the obsession started was, of course, at my home, but like around my home, and it was like that exact moment that I always go back to when I think about why do I get so emotional about the moon. I remember it was one of these nights. I probably was like 10, and probably yeah 10, yeah, and there was no light. It was like load shedding, so the electricity was cut off for the non-Pakistanis. Um, and it was around 10, and it was a full moon, and my chachu decided that we're gonna turn the situation around, and we're gonna be create some positive vibes. And what he did was he went outside. It was so hot. I remember it was another summer night. It was so hot, so we were all kind of like outside waiting for the light to come back, and he played uh Afreen Afreen by Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan in his Mehran on full blast. And like it's like a full moon night, and this Kavali is playing, and I'm like too young to understand like vibes, I would even say, or like the ambiance that was being created. But I remember feeling something, and now I know exactly that was, and I was like, whoa, that was just such a weird experience. Like this was such a nice experience. And I remember like even the words of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, which definitely is going to be a separate podcast of its own. And I do want to bring Sasha in and ask him, which is by the way my husband, what he feels about Kawalis, and that's gonna be a separate podcast. We're gonna definitely do that one day, inshallah. But I remember developing a connection there with Kawalis back then. Um, and that was such a core memory. And another thing that I remember is when I was growing up. This is again very young. I was younger than 10 years old, definitely. It was around like I must be very young when I used to ask my mom in the car, like, why is the moon chasing us? And I would always think, like, if he follows, if it it follows our car, is it also following other people's cars? And how does it always catch up, with our car's speed and follows us until the home? Things like that. Like, I was so innocent. Of course, I learned science in school, and the reality is pretty boring. But it's not. It's actually pretty cool. But yeah, that's how the fascination started. And then it kind of like developed a bit further. It After moving here, I don't know. America is just so different than Pakistan. Everything over here is different. But, I guess the one familiar thing you look at and you still feel like, it's the same feeling I had back home. It's the same thing that I'm looking at is, of course, the moon. And whenever I would look at the moon, I would always be, just taken back. I would have all those memories, and I would again be exceptionally withdrawn in the most, challenging nights I had when we came here, especially the first 3 or 4 years, I would say definitely. And it was just, it just reassured me that it's the same moon that we're all looking at. And even if my friends in Pakistan are there or my family's back there, they're also looking at the same moon, so we're all still connected and we're still on the same earth, you know. And then the connection started getting deeper and deeper with in terms of spirituality. Um, you know, there were so many days where I would just, sit by my window on a full moon night, and I would, trust me, wallahi, I feel like I would have the most deepest conversations with God when it's a full moon. And I don't know, I might be going crazy, I don't know, some effect on me, I don't know. But I feel like the emotions, just like the tides, are so heightened, and it it really creates this force of attraction between yourself and the moon. So it just, yeah, it's just, and I find it so hard to describe to my friends and my husband and some of my siblings why I just love the moon so much. If tattoos, if I wanted a tattoo, I would get a tattoo of the moon. I'm telling you. But I don't want one, and it's also not allowed. So anyway, what else did I want to talk about? Another thing that I really appreciate is having walks when it's full moon, or even when like it's slightly growing bigger. Another, it's just like nature's own light. You can see how bright even the road gets, which is basically gray and made out of cement. But then all those little shiny particles, have you ever noticed them when you walk on the road at night? They start, like, the moon's light reflect on the cement, and there's like these shiny particles somewhere in there. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Let me know if you guys know. But they're kind of like the stars on the ground, and they're actual stars up there. But I feel like it just elevates the beauty in things that are not even beautiful. It's just not just beautiful itself. And of course, there is the comparison between Prophet ﷺ and the moon. And just like the moon, Prophet ﷺ did that as well. He spread his light in the entire world. So, and it's not a bright light that hurts your eyes like the sun. It's a very cooling, soothing light. So of course, there's the religious connection, there's the spiritual connection. I have these all sorts of connections with the moon. And I also have this playlist just dedicated for those nights. Let me know, like, maybe I'm crazy. Do you all guys also have such affiliations? Uh, Please let me know about that. Like, I would really like to know what other people feel about celestial objects. Maybe, I don't know. And of course, I asked, like anybody else, ChatGPT, why are people fascinated with moon? Of course, it gave me like paragraphs about history, culture, science, all the mythologies around it. Of course, the astronomical stuff, how it's so common between different religions, the culture around it, the calendar. So the answers were getting pretty obvious, but I feel like everyone, I guess you can have communal answers, but each person has their own story with the moon. So it must be different for each individual. I guess I made a point there. I don't know. English, I don't know. Uh and it didn't give me the answer that I was looking for. So I really reflected on it, and I still don't have the final answer. But I think, here's what I think. I think the moon is the reflection of one's artistic side. By which I mean it's a person's creative side. We look at it and we make up all sorts of stories. There's so many songs about it and Sufi folklore and all different cultures and different traditions, I'm sure. And there's I don't think there's a poet that has existed and not used moon as a reference in their poetry, as an analogy, as a as a symbolism for something. Um, and like all humanity, it's an object that I also got fascinated by. And people before me and people after me will be looking at the moon, and they're gonna be having the same connection as me, but the story is gonna be different. And just like any other human being, I am having a very human experience, and I don't think I'll I'll be able to completely pin it down any day. But it's just I'm happy knowing that there is a thing out there in the world for forever, ever since Earth has existed, I guess, that has been giving people and animals and plants and ocean the same effect, the same warm, calming feeling. And yeah, I'm just very appreciative of the moon. So, yeah. And that's the whole podcast. So, guys, please let me know if there's something else you guys specifically want to talk about or want to, hear from me about. Um, I hope this time the mic issues are fixed. I was really asked to talk in the mic explicitly. I do want to replace this mic and get a better one, but let's see. Let's see where we go with it.